His word is a living word. It's alive. If it wasn't alive, it couldn't give life to us. If it were simply just words written on a page, it would mean nothing. But His word is alive. It lives. Genesis 1:1, all the way to the end of the Revelations, is still relevant and still active. I heard a report on the internet some months ago, and it talked about how that scientists have this idea that the universe is ever expanding, that it's ever growing. Guess what it is? Because when He said, "Let there be light," from His lips, light began to go forth. And it still continues to go forth because it is a living word. Creation is expanding itself. We're going to go into the Torah portion, Noach. We're going to have some fun. When I was reading over it yesterday morning, sometimes I get hung up on a single word that can be found in the Torah portion, and I get curious about it. I want to know what it means. And when I dig into it and find it, usually that's when the Holy Spirit begins leading me as to what I'm to get. Because we've been through this Torah portion. This is third year in a row, fourth year in a row as a group. And I got revelation that I've never had before. And I want to share it with you because it is the living word. Beginning in Genesis 6, verse 9, it says, "These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations, and Noah walked with Elohim. And Noah begat 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth also was corrupt before Elohim, and the earth was filled with violence. And Elohim looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. And Elohim said unto Noah, The end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make thee an ark of gopher wood. Room shalt thou make in the ark, and shalt pitch it within and without with pitch." So we have a question. What brought about such great judgment?
Corruption, sin.
Corruption. Violence.
Yep.
Well, I'm bringing up...
Hamas.
Huh?
Hamas.
Hamas.
That's violence.
Yes,
That's what
yes,
the word
it is.
says. That's what the word means.
What coincidence. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, well, I wanted to bring forth some of the book of Enoch. But before we do that, let's go back to the beginning of chapter 6. And it says, "And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of Elohim saw the daughters of men, that they were fair. And they took them wives of all which they chose. And Yahweh said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of Elohim came into the daughters of men, and they bare children unto them, and the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. And Elohim saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented Yahweh that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And Yahweh said, I will destroy man, whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. But Noah found grace. Here's a key word.
It is.
In the eyes of Yahweh.
That is a key word.
It is a key word. All right, let's take a better look through the eyes of Enoch. And it begins, it says, And it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days there were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. And the angels The children of heaven saw and lusted after them and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men and beget us children. Bear in mind, these are not the holy angels, these are the fallen ones. And all the others together with them took unto themselves wives, and each chose for himself one, and they began to go in unto them and to defile themselves with them, and they taught them charms and enchantments, and the cutting of roots, and made them acquainted with plants, and they became pregnant, and they bare great giants, whose height was 3,000 ells, who consumed all the acquisitions of men. In other words, they essentially gave birth to teenage boys. Because they began to eat them out of house and home.
Yeah.
I've got daughters. This is just a rumor, and knowing how I was when I was a teenage boy. And when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. And they began to sin against birds and against beasts and reptiles and fish, and to devour one another's flesh and drink the blood. Then the earth laid accusation against the lawless ones, against the Torahless ones. And Azazel taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth and the art of working them, and bracelets and ornaments, and the use of antimony, and the beautifying of the eyelids, and all kinds of costly stones, and all coloring tinctures. And there arose much godlessness, and they committed fornication, and they were led astray and became corrupt in all their ways. So we see an alignment between the account of Genesis and the book of Enoch and the state of man at that time. It says, Then said the Most High, the Holy and Great One spake, and sent Uriel to the son of Lamech, and said unto him, Go to Noah and tell him in my name, hide thyself, and reveal to him the end that is approaching, that the whole earth will be destroyed, and the deluge is about to come upon the whole earth, and will destroy all that is on it. And in Matthew 24 and 37 it says, But as the days of Noah were, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. I know what everyone's thinking right now. Everyone's thinking, well, Kelly's going to talk about it in the field. Kelly's going to talk about the wickedness that's going to come upon the earth before the coming of the Son of Man. Because I found a silver lining. All right, what are the connections between the days of Noah and the second coming? Concerning the heart of man? Very similar.
Yeah.
We can quickly see in certain areas society beginning to unravel itself.
Corruption.
Corruption.
Violence.
Yes.
Violence. Interesting, huh?
Mm.
What else? People are living their lives as if there is no end. Right?
Yeah.
Because if we go back, it says that they are eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark.
It's as if there is just when the words that came to me were spiritual indifference and apathy, just not even thinking about it, not even on the radar.
And we see that in the body of Messiah as well.
No restraint.
No restraint.
Yeah.
Because lawlessness, toilerlessness.
Right.
All right, what is the greatest connection between the days of Noah and the second coming?
What is the greatest?
This part's a surprise.
The ark.
What's the way through judgment? The ark constructed by Noah was a means of deliverance through the coming judgment. He was told to construct the ark out of gopher wood. All right, let me ask the question if anyone knows, what is gopher wood? Well, while no one one is really sure what gopher wood is, including me. As with everything else in Scripture, everyone has an opinion. Some say it's cypress, some say it's acacia, some say pine, some say cedar. Acacia would be interesting since the Ark of the Covenant was built out of acacia as well.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be, just one of the hardest.
Exactly.
Huh.
What if it's a translation error?
You mean,
What if it's not actually gopher?
Squirrel?
Squirrel wood. That would make more sense. I've never seen a gopher in a tree. In Hebrew, the letters Gimel and Kaf, G and K, look very similar. In the same verse, the Hebrew word for pitch is kofar. Is it possible that the Kaf in kofar was mistranslated as a Gimel, making it gopher? So make yourself an ark of pitched wood, make rooms in the ark, and cover it inside and outside with pitch. So that's one little possibility that we need to examine here, because those letters look very, very similar. In engineering, we have a term for it with the computers called fat finger typographical error. And it may have been the same, the quill may have been a little dull, and the kaf begins to look like a gimbal. All right, so let's have the sign, the wind up, and the pitch.
ah,
In 6 and 14 it says, make thee an ark of gopher wood, or copher wood, pitch wood. Room shalt thou make in the ark, and shalt pitch it within and without the pitch. We see the word pitch used twice in the Scripture. Once as a verb, and the other as the noun. In Hebrew, it is two different but inseparable words. The first one in verb form is kafar, and it means to cover, purge, make an atonement, make reconciliation, or to cover over with pitch. So we have going on here, we have something occurring in the physical realm of the sealing of the wood, but we also have something going on in the spiritual realm as well. It has dual meanings. Now, pitch was used to seal the wood, and the ark constructed that wood. On the literal and deeper level, it sealed out the judgment that was being poured out on the face of the earth. This is no different than the blood of the Passover lamb on the doors of Egypt, and also the blood of Yeshua over our lives. Chew on that for just a moment. That pitch that sealed judgment from getting to the righteous inside is also very much like the blood that was applied to the doorpost that kept the angel of death out of the homes of those who were following the commandment to do so. And it's also the same as the blood of Yeshua on our lives, where we've crossed over from death to life. It's no different. Scientifically, pitch is the name for any number of viscoelastic solid polymers. Pitch can be natural or manufactured, derived from petroleum, coal tar, or plants. Various forms of pitch may also be called tar, bitumen, or asphalt. Pitch produced from plants is also known as resin. Some products made from plant resins are also known as rosin. Pitch was traditionally used to help caulk the seams of wooden sailing vessels. Pitch was also used to waterproof wooden containers and in the making of torches. Petroleum-derived pitch is black in color, hence the adjectival phrase pitch black. So there's your 2 slides of worthless information. But in Scripture, you remember the verb is kafar, and it means to make a covering or an atonement. In noun form is kofar, and it means to cover village, bitumen, which is the physical pitch. It also refers to the henna plant, but figuratively, it's a redemption price. A bribe, a camp hire, a pitch, ransom, satisfaction, sum of money, or a village. So we have a covering of a redemption price to protect the righteous that are inside. With that being said, that verse could be interpreted as saying, build a house with rooms in it and cover it or atone it with the price of redemption. Here's some food for thought. John 14:2. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you, I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there you may be also. And whither I go, you know, and the way you know. In Hebrew, mansions is moneh, and it means a staying or a residence. So it could be the Father's house just has many rooms, not many mansions. We all like to think that we step from this life into the next and we acquire something that belongs in Beverly Hills, and no. It's pretty interesting, isn't it? So do you see the comparison between the Father's house and the ark, in which they have many rooms inside? And our ticket into the kingdom is by an atonement, a covering of a redemption price. That's our ticket in. That is how we get in. So the fun just never ends. In 6 and 15 it says, and this is the fashion which thou shalt make of it. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, and the breadth of it 50 cubits, and the height of it 30 cubits. A window shalt thou make to the ark, and then a cubit shalt thou finish it above. And the door of the ark shalt thou set in the side thereof, with lower, second, and third story shalt thou make it. And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. For those who do not know, a cubit length is roughly from the elbow to the tip of the middle finger. So 300 of mine, pretty far. How far is it? Here's a comparison length. Noah's Ark was approximately 137 meters long. A Viking longboat was only 40 meters. The Santa Maria was only 30 meters long.
Wow, that's...
We have this idea that the Spaniards were coming across, Christopher Columbus came across on huge ships. Not so. Not so. It was only, well, it was shorter than a Viking boat. They say that the Vikings made it here first. They had a bigger boat, it makes sense. Could have beat them by at least 10 meters.
You'll hear faster.
Yes. One of the Greek ships was roughly 128 meters, the Titanic 243, the USS Missouri 270 meters, the aircraft carrier Nimitz class is 333, Queen Mary is 345, and a crude oil tanker is roughly 485 meters long. So this ark at 137 meters was larger than a Viking longboat, larger than the Santa Maria, larger than the Greek ship, 2/3 the length of the Titanic, half the length of the USS Missouri, a little over 1/3 the length of the aircraft carrier. It's a big boat. It's a very big boat.
And 3 stories.
3 stories. This is a life-size scale ark that was built. So it was built to that length, that height, and that width. That's a pretty impressive vessel. I'd love to know how far it is away from these two men standing here taking pictures of it. Very impressive. Genesis 6 and 18 says, but with thee will I establish my covenant, and you shall come into the ark, you and your sons and your wives and your sons' wives with you. And of every living thing of all flesh, 2 of every sort shalt thou bring into the ark, to keep them alive with thee. And they shall be male and female. Of fowls after their kind, and of cattle after their kind, and of every creeping thing of the earth after his kind, 2 of every sort shall come unto thee, to keep them alive. And thou shalt take with thee all the food that is eaten, and thou shalt gather it to thee, and it shall be food for thee and for them. Thus did Noah, according to all that God commanded him, so did he. Let's fast forward a little bit. We all know 2 pairs for the unclean, 7 pairs clean. We know that it rained 40 days and 40 nights. He released the dove out of the window. Went out, came back empty. Went out, came back empty. Finally came back with an olive branch. And now we come to the promise. Genesis 9 and 13 says, I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass, when I will bring the clouds over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the clouds. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. And the water shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. The next time that there is a flood upon this earth, it's only going to be of one thing, and that's His glory. That will be the next thing that covers this earth in its entirety. And there's the promise. Isn't that beautiful? It's absolutely gorgeous. And if we go to our Haftarah portion, Isaiah 54, beginning in verse 9, it says, For this is as the waters of Noah unto me. For I have sworn that the waters of Noah should no more go over the earth. So have I sworn that I would not be wroth with thee, nor rebuke thee. For the mountains shall depart, and the hills be removed, but my kindness shall not depart from thee. Neither shall the covenant of my peace be removed, saith Yahweh that hath mercy on thee. O thou afflicted, tossed with tempest, and not comforted, behold, I will lay thy stones with fair colors, and lay thy foundations with sapphires. And I will make thy windows of the gates, and thy gates of carbuncles, and all thy borders will be of pleasant stone. And all thy children shall be taught of the Lord, and great shall be the peace of thy children. So this is a forward-looking prophecy. We're not there yet. And if we go to Revelation 21, beginning in verse 10, it says, And he carried me away in the Spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from Elohim, having the glory of Elohim, and her light was like unto stone, a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal, and had a wall great and high, and 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and the names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. On the east 3 gates, on the north 3 gates, on the south 3 gates, and on the west 3 gates. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations. And in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. And he that talked with me had a golden reed to measure the city, and the gates thereof, and the wall thereof. And the city lieth 4 square, and the length as large as the breadth. And he measured the city with a reed, 12,000 furlongs. And the length and the breadth and the height of it are equal. And he measured the wall thereof 144 cubits according to the measure of man, that is, of the angel. And the building of the wall of it was like of jasper, and the city was of pure gold, like unto clear glass. And the foundations of the wall of the city were garnished with all manner of precious stones. The first foundation was jasper, and the second sapphire, and the third, I ain't even going to try. The fourth, emerald, and the fifth, sardonyx, and the sixth, sardius, and the seventh, chrysolite, and the eighth, beryl, and the ninth, topaz, the 10th, chrysoprasus, and the 11th, jacinth, and the 12th, amethyst. Oh, that's all. Sardis rendition, no one's been there. There are no pictures. Doesn't the foundation look an awful lot like the rainbow? So consider this. As it was in the days of Noah, that after he poured out judgment upon the earth, yet he had the righteous sealed with a covering of the redemption prize, but after that, he brought forth a promise in the clouds of a rainbow. When the end comes and he pours out judgment on this earth once more, those of us who are sealed, kafar, with the chauffeur, will witness something very similar coming down out of heaven. There's one thing we can rest assured, that he has told us the end from the beginning. And it's not all bad. It's not all something to be afraid of. But even the beauty of his promise to Noah is going to be the beauty of a promise that's given to us in the foundation of New Jerusalem. And that same covering that shielded Noah and his family and those animals from the judgment being poured out outside, provided we have that over our lives, we too will have a way through that judgment. One way or another. I don't know what everything's going to look like in the end, but this I do know, that even though my flesh may perish during judgment, that my soul is sealed. And that's great comfort. That's an incredible thing to understand, that even though this ark may get smashed against the rocks and destroyed, what's important, which is what's on the inside, is going to be safe and secure.